Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty Modern Warfare video. In tonight's video, we're going to be talking about how to improve at Modern Warfare. Going to be giving you guys some tips and tricks and 5 things in specific that I think if you focus on can really help improve your gameplay, get you more wins, get you more kills, or whatever you want to happen in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, especially in these first couple of weeks or months, because this is a brand new game and everyone is trying to test different things out, learn different things. But if you can sort of have the knowledge or the context to be ahead of the curve and understand the game in a better way than most of the casual players, you can get extreme advantages over people that are just hopping on the new Call of Duty trying to play for fun after work by, watching videos like this and applying them to your actual gameplay. So hope you guys will enjoy this video. If you guys could drop a like on this thing, let's go ahead and go for 874 likes. That would be incredible if we could hit that. Also subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Big shout out to everyone new subscribe and everyone supporting the videos. It's been awesome. It takes like a millisecond to hit that like button, so go ahead and do that. Let's go for 847 and let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, first of all, weapons. The first tip we're going to focus on here is with weapons. Now, there's a lot of people talking about the weapon balance, blah, blah, blah. The thing about Call of Duty is, especially nowadays Call of Duty, where I don't know when this started, probably like Infinite Warfare and then World War II and then I guess this game, where they kind of released the games sort of incomplete. It seems like a lot of things they don't really play test, and if they do, I don't know how it works. For example, people talking about weapon balance and it being bad balance. That is definitely true. The weapon balance is not perfect in this game at all, but in my opinion, it's always trash when a game first comes out, the weapon balance. But what you can do is take advantage of that and understand what is really good right now that might be nerfed in the future and be able to use that. And what comes down to the weapons, SMGs as of right now are fairly effective, but only at a very close range, basically in that same room with most of the SMGs. There's some like the AUG that have a little bit more range to it, or an MP7, but SMGs on these maps, it's really tough. Usually you want to use an SMG if you're playing in a 10v10 or a 6v6 in an up close and personal map if you're trying to play like that. But for the majority of players in the majority of the time, assault rifles are the way to go in this game as of right now, and they just really outclass a lot of other things, especially something like the M4A1, which is the most overpowered weapon in this game as of right now. I made a video talking about it with the class setup and everything. Using weapons like the Kilo, the M4A1, taking advantage of things that are very strong in this game right now is what's going to help you out. If you're using weapons that put you at even the slightest disadvantage, I mean, pay attention to the kill feed in these games. Almost every player in my lobbies is using it feels like they're using the M4, sometimes the Kilo, and sometimes the FAMAS, which is called the FR 5.56, I believe. Pay attention to that sort of stuff and realizing that if you have an M4 or your Kilo, trying to use some of those other weapons that might be a little bit weaker can put you at such a disadvantage, especially before they come through and balance all of these weapons, which probably, hopefully, will come within the next weeks or so with Infinity Ward. I know Treyarch is always good at patching and balancing their weapons. Infinity Ward, I don't really know. I don't really remember from IW. I think there was a significant amount of patches in that game. But, I mean, we're in 2019, so it should be good. But as of right now, weapon. Yes, the weapon balance is bad. So, basically, your option is to either, play with those best guns or put yourself at a disadvantage. It kind of sucks. I want to test out some other weapons too, but if you're playing for tryhard and to do better, it's pretty much M4 most of the time, and that's just the way it is. It really sucks. I think it'll be patched in the next couple weeks, but it'll make a world of difference if you're playing with a weapon that's like mid-tier and you switch over to that. It's amazing at long range and amazing at close range. Next thing is recoil control. I see a lot of people when it comes down to the class setups, they want to, of course, controlling recoil is very important. The thing about the way these class setups and attachments work is that there's negatives. There's pros and cons to each attachment, and some of the cons are big. Like I see some of the ones that are recoil control, and you're losing like your strafe speed, you're losing your ADS speed, you're losing stuff that actually is pretty important. Movement speed is something that I'm kind of willing to give up on assault rifles because this game is sort of played more slow paced because you have to. Just the way the game is designed, you die so quick. But definitely make sure you're not stacking recoil control on a weapon that probably has little to no recoil, like the M4 or the Kilo or something like that off of the start. That's what I would say as far as weapons. Next tip is going to be footsteps. Now, this is probably the biggest thing in this game. The footsteps are ridiculously loud. I said this in my other video, and I'm going to stick by it. I don't care if you have AirPods, if you have a home studio, if you're listening on your monitor, if you have Astro headset, Turtle Beaches. crank those things up. The footsteps are ridiculous in this game. And on the other hand of that, so you can crank it up and basically hear every single enemy except people with dead silence or who are crouch walking or camping, which is a lot of people, of course, in this game. But on the other hand of that, you have to be aware not only that you can hear other people's footsteps, but they can hear yours. So rushing into buildings, a lot of the time, it's just like, damn, how did he know I was coming? It's mostly always the footsteps. Sometimes it might be a UAV, but I think that's a major, major thing. And it is trash that Dead Silence isn't a perk. As of right now, Dead Silence is a field upgrade, and it's one that I like to use because it is pretty effective, and it's the only time you can sort of be a bit quieter. But other than that, when you don't have Dead Silence, you need to be, number one, listening for people's footsteps, and number two, cautious about what footsteps you are giving off. This will literally change your game, just paying attention to this. If I'm a game like Black Ops 4, I would play that game and I would listen to Spotify or I'd listen to a podcast and have fun. And that's because the footsteps weren't really that loud, unless you were specifically playing free-for-all trying to sound whore listen. But in a game like this, if I'm listening to, even like I play in Discord calls with my friends, I usually have to turn them down pretty low or I can barely hear them so that I can hear the footsteps. It's just the way it is in this game, and I don't know if there's going to be patches with that, but as of right now, listening and audio is so damn important. Also on my audio settings, I use Boost. I think that's the best, at least for me, to be able to hear footsteps. I see some other people using Boost High, Boost Low. I usually stick to those. Next, but I'm sure there's a lot of audio settings. I mean, those just depend on what, it depends what headset you're using, pretty much to what settings you want to use. Next is going to be areas to avoid. Now, in this game, there are areas to avoid and your risk assessment based on streaks. What I mean by this is you will see in the second gameplay here where my team is losing and I get on a decent streak and then I sort of just sit in this corridor for like a minute waiting for people to rush me with a Claymore down. And the reason why I'm doing that is, yes, I'm camping in that moment because I'm waiting to get these streaks. The way this game works is it's basically all air support streaks and they go absolutely ham, especially on 10v10s or ground wars, another level. You have streaks in this game like the Helio support. It's essentially just a pave-low. You have other things that like a Harrier, which is available, I believe it's 9 kills. And then you have Chopper Gunner, you have the Gunship. The streaks are the key to literally winning this game. And that's why, if I don't care, if you want to win, get more kills, get better at the game, this game revolves around streaks. And even if it takes time, definitely if you notice you're 1 or 2 kills off of a streak, which you can notice in the bottom right, you might want to sit back and use your risk assessment in a game where you can die just like that. This game is designed for people to all basically be even or all have a 1 KD. They want randomness in the maps. That's why there's like so many different windows, so many different corridors, so many different ways to hop up. The risk assessment on this game is crazy. It's not like Black Ops 4 where you could run out in the open, someone shoots you, stim shot, turn around, or IW where you could jump in the sky, or Black Ops 3. It's not really like that. If they catch you, you're done. There's nothing you can do about it. So risk assessment, running out into the open when you're on streaks is really not the move. Sticking to the outskirts of the map and mostly, honestly, in buildings set up with Claymore. And that brings into the next thing here, which is Claymores and health regen. Now, hey, I didn't make this game. Personally, I wouldn't want a game where Claymores are freaking overpowered. But they are. It's just the reality. Who knows why they did this? Claymores are redonkulous as of right now, and it's especially because people don't know how to counter them. There is some ways to counter them, but people haven't figured it out so far. You can use a perk which allows you to see them. You can use something that is basically flak jacket with the EOD, which can save you sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. Claymores are something that is very, very deadly, and especially because you can start off with 2. If you use shrapnel, you can restock them. It's just the way this game is designed. It's ridiculous. And even on your rushing class, if you're posting up, you might want to use Claymores to cover your ass. But if you're rushing, you probably want to use Claymores as well. Just place them down, run away, boom, kill. Those kills add up. Those kills count towards whatever you're going for. I think a nuke or your kill streaks, of course, and make a big difference. So that is something that pretty much everyone is abusing, and it sucks. But it's just, it just is in the game. I guess it's just part of it. And on the other hand of that, doing something to counter Claymores, usually just being cautious when you're running into buildings, using something where you can spot them, or making sure you have the flak jacket EOD on. That's usually what I just rock with, is EOD, and just try to be cautious as I'm approaching buildings, listen for enemies, and if I hear an enemy camping in a building because the footsteps are so loud, I'm going to assume he probably has some sort of a Claymore or something like that, right? Next thing is the Chopper Gunner and the Gunship. Now, like I talked about earlier, kill streaks run this game normal in Call of Duty. The chopper gunner and the gunship are on another level along with all the other air support kills. So a couple things that I would give in terms of tips and tricks for this. Now, let's say you get like a 60 kill gameplay. A lot of that gameplay, how many kills you get and how good your team does, actually will depend on how effective those kill streaks are being, which depends on the map, of course. And a couple tips I give for this is, number one, chopper gunner and gunship are both very amazing. The chopper gunner, you can fly it around, pick where you want to go, you can spray people down, and you can also fire rockets. Very, very effective, and honestly, it's a I've used chopper gunners in a multitude of different Call of Duty games. This one, it's pretty nasty. It's one of the better chopper gunners we've seen. It might also be in a combination with the modes being 10v10, 32v32, and stuff like that. And then the gunship is basically your AC-130. Now, if you aren't too familiar, maybe you're newer to the Call of Duty franchise, you didn't get to experience these in Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3 or whatever, it's not a big deal. What I would recommend is probably going into a private match, setting up some combat training bots, and practicing with these AC-130s and gunships. Well, the gunship is the AC-130. The gunship and the chopper gunner. Practicing with those kill streaks that are manual, you have to use them yourself, because that can, being good with those or understanding where they're going to be, learning the spawns, even you can set up domination. You can go into custom games, set it up on domination, 10v10 on the map that you're going to play, and literally learn the spawns and understand what you're going to do with those streaks. Does sound like a lot of work, but it can make a difference. And the next thing is, even if you don't want to do that, if you're playing with teammates, like you're playing with your friends, whenever you call in streaks, considering most of the big streaks are pretty much all air support, you're going to want to, usually what I do is, if one of my buddies gets a chopper gunner, you can see pretty much everyone, right? Unless they're running whatever it is, cold-blooded or something like that. You know, I forget what it's called in this game. I think it's cold-blooded, or, you know, whatever they call it. But basically, you can see all the players, so you can be calling out, and people will hide in buildings. So let's say, for example, if I get my chopper gunner, and I'm playing with one or two of my buddies, and I see 3 in the back left barn, I'm just going to yell that out, so my teammates can go and rush those players, and then once those players get eliminated out of the buildings, they just start flowing into this beautiful spawn trap, which you really can't get out of if you have that great air support. So it works if you're playing with buddies. That's a very, very good tip I would give. If your buddy has some air support up, let him call it out for you to rush, and then do the same, you know, vice versa. Anyway, hopefully this video did help you guys out. More tips and tricks videos coming, more class setups, a lot more stuff on the way. Thanks for watching. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I'll catch you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.